Timothy Bradley goes off on sanctioning bodies. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Renee Box Young. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, showing your support, tuning into lives, commenting in the comment sections. You already know what it is, man. Subscribers since day one. Recent subscribers, I really appreciate each and every one of you. Renee Box Young. This is simply a platform where we speak, discuss, analyze, and just talk about the sport of boxing. That's all we do. We love the sport of boxing. We learn from it. You already know, man. Once again, thank you so much for your support, man. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I want to talk about this, man. You know, Timothy Bradley, as a matter of fact, in my last video, I talked about what Timothy Bradley said, as many people are talking about right now. You know, it's all over the place, you know, about what Timothy Bradley said. He's coming out, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I know it's controversial about several things he says. But, you know, when it comes to whoever says it, it doesn't really matter. You know, people sometimes say the truth and speak facts, you know what I'm saying? As far as with when people talk a lot of controversial things or biased things. You know what I mean? Tim Bradley is one of them, you know, where he has said many things in the past. But, hey, I respect him, man. And he said something, you know, recently about Canelo, which everyone's talking about. And I agree with him. And I agree with him in another point. Okay, but it's not about Canelo, right? It's just generally about sanctioning bodies. And it's from the same article that I talked about in my last video. So let's check it out, man. Let's get right to this. You can see this here. Boxingscene.com, as you already know, right? Link in the description. So you go here and check this out. I just want to get right to what he says. He said, Yildirim should get stopped before round 6. He's a mandatory challenger who deserves to fight Canelo. Okay, that's fine. Okay, he says here we go, ladies and gentlemen. According to the sanctioning body, but at this point, we know what these sanctioning bodies are about. Moving guys into certain places that can benefit their pockets. Wow. Their franchise and improve the way their marquee fighters look. Why isn't a guy like David Benavidez, who had that title and was one of the youngest guys ever to win the same title, in line for a chance to try to win it back instead? You know, what he's referring to there is why isn't Benavidez going back to get a chance to win that title that was, you know, stripped of him when he missed weight in his last fight. So, but I want to focus more on this, like, according to the sanctioning body, okay, is that he's, you know, Yildirim's mandatory. We know that, but he says that we know that these bodies, and I reiterate the plurality of what he's saying, we know that these sanctioning bodies, plural, are about, what these sanctioned bodies are about, moving guys into certain places that can benefit their pockets, their franchise, and improve the way their marquee fighters look. Man, wow, you know, that's like, you know, that's Timothy Bradley really just bringing out the dirty things that we don't want to know about the sport of boxing, you know, or that a lot of people just want to ignore or give a blind eye, turn a blind eye to, you know what I mean? And something that I've been talking about, look, on my channel, I don't really talk about belts for the same reason. I don't, you know, like I've said it so many times, and it's necessary to repeat because, you know, for the new listeners and things of that nature, and just to recycle information, you know, something that can really, you know, when we grasp some information, whatever it may be, and you really want it to sit so you'll never forget it, it's a matter of recycling it. And I've said it time and time again, you know, I don't talk about belts much. You can just check out my videos, check them out, do your homework, check it out. I don't really talk about belts. I don't say, like, when it comes to a fighter, I don't introduce certain fighters. When I talk about a certain fighter on my platform, I don't say, you know, the WBA, WBC, IBO, Unified Champion. I don't do that because, you know, and I respect it. That's fine, definitely. But the thing here is that not all fighters really necessarily fight the best in order to get belts. And Timothy Bradley's going all out, man, and he's saying the truth, okay? He's saying facts. Historically speaking, we know how sanctioned bodies have done dirty work in the background, man. You know, behind the scenes, behind closed doors, paying people off, you know, to leverage certain fighters in certain rankings. You know, fighters come out of nowhere in certain rankings to the top all of a sudden, you know? And it's like, where did this guy come from and why did this happen? Lots of fishy stuff go on, you know, behind closed doors when it comes to the sport of boxing. And this implies, and the ramifications of this is that fighters go through a lot of stress. I've said it so many times, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, each platform has their unique angle. My angle, one of my angles at least, is that, you know, I feel for the fighters. You know, they got to go through a lot of stuff. They got to go through a lot of politics. They got to go through the muck and mud of what the sport of boxing in. They can't just simply, it's sad, but it's true. They can't simply just, train and fight. They're in the middle of the muck and the muck and mire and mud and nonsense that goes on, when it comes to sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? It's sad. Let me say something about Mikey Garcia. It mixes in with this because that was on my mind too that I want to talk about. That, as you know, I don't do bullet points. It's just on my mind. Mikey Garcia, he came out recently on a video, Instagram, whatever, and he talked about F Bob Arum, man. Because he has suffered that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have suffered under, this is just a specific example, Bob Arum. And Mikey Garcia, we've said it time and time again, many people have said it time and time again that know about this, how Bob Arum has done a lot of fighters wrong or has limited the amazing potential that fighters have. Bud Crawford right now is in that, unfortunately. I made a recent video talking about, will Shakur Stevenson be in that situation also? It's sad, ladies and gentlemen, and fighters are stuck in positions and in situations in the middle of politics, and sanctioning bodies is part of that. You see what I'm saying? And Bradley is coming out and saying, look, sanctioning bodies are in it for their own interest. Sanctioning bodies are in it for their pockets, man. Eddie Hearn, okay, look, another one. Eddie Hearn, I just pumped this video out recently too. Eddie Hearn is talking about abandoning and canceling the belts for his fighters. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? It would be awesome to see. It's possible that we'll see big changes, referring to what Eddie Hearn, referencing what Eddie Hearn said recently about, him wanting to cancel the belts because, what do sanctioning bodies do when fighters, get belts? They come up, thank you, where's my check? The fees. Fighters have to pay for the belts they win. Isn't that weird? They shouldn't have to pay for anything. They deserve that belt. They won. Some fighters do get it easier when they get some belts. We got to face the facts. But I'm talking about a fighter who wins a belt, the hard way, fights the best out there, and gets the straps from other fighters that are tough competition. And generally speaking, what do sanctioning bodies do? They just come and say, okay, you got my belt, pay up your fee. So promoters are talking about it. I made another video a long time ago, maybe 2 years ago. Luda Bella, Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, they were all joking around how there are too many belts. And we're seeing how the boxing community, ladies and gentlemen, more and more are coming out and saying they're tired of these belts. Tired of it. You see what I'm saying? It looks like tables can turn, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like tables can turn. And boxing, the sport of boxing, can get cleaned up a little bit more. For crying out loud, Timothy Bradley is coming out and saying this stuff. I mean, man, let's get back to this. Watch. Let me just let it sink in. So he's saying, sanctioning bodies. He even said it. At this point, we know what these sanctioning bodies are about. Moving guys into certain places that can benefit their pockets, their franchise, and improve the way their marquee fighters look. See, at this point, he's saying, you see what I'm saying? So he's saying, at this point, you see, ladies and gentlemen, Timothy Bradley's coming out and saying it. I'm assuming it's politically incorrect to say these things. He is a commentary, a sports commentator, boxing commentator, whatever you want to call him, ringside guy, reporter, I don't know, but in a position in ESPN, I would assume that that's politically incorrect to say those kinds of things there. In public television or whatever, but Timothy Bradley's coming out and saying it, and he said we're at this point. You see, this is all like I've said it before, man. This is like a volcano that's about to erupt in the sport of boxing. I personally think that, and I think we're going to see a turn for the better, hopefully not for the worse. Boxing needs to be cleaned up. It definitely does. You know what I'm saying? And Mikey Garcia came out recently saying F Bob Arum. He was out there, man. He said, you know what, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. In other words, I'm paraphrasing. He's like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat what I'm going to say. And he was talking about how Bob Arum, and it may not relate to the sanctioning bodies, but I'm just talking generally about the sport, how it is. Boxers got to go through a lot. You know what I'm saying? And, Eddie Hearn coming out saying that, he wants to cancel the belts. And it's just a lot of stuff that's just, coming together. And I really do hope that, something's fixed with these sanctioning bodies. Mauricio, he's under the heat. Why? Because of this franchise stuff. The boxing community demands answers. Why do you think that, Mauricio is a recent example? I'm not saying he's the only one, though. But Mauricio is the one who's right now under fire. Why? Because he's doing just some shifty, shady moves. And the boxing community, look at these platforms he's been interviewed on. Question after platform, interview after interview, it's the same questions with this guy. About why this, why that, why the franchise championship belt, why this with undisputed and not undisputed, and Haney has a belt, but you're not respecting it, blah, blah. And he's like, well, time will tell, and it's confusing, and I know it's confusing, but you know what I'm saying? The boxing community, we're having it with this stuff. We just about had it. I have for a long time. That's why I don't really say, I'm just tired of these belts. I've been saying it for a long time. You know what I mean? Mauricio's under fire because of this. And just generally sanctioning bodies in general. You see what I'm saying? And I personally think that all this can lead to great changes and betterment for the sport of boxing. Do you think so? Do you have hope that it'll get better? I do. But even though it does look quite difficult to change, but I think there can be changes, and I think there will be. Incrementally, though. I'm not saying it will be one day to the next. Oh, wow, we're not, But these sanctioning bodies and, these promoters got to wake up and smell the coffee beans, man. They got to really assess and reassess what they're doing, self-evaluate what the heck they're doing, and the boxing community's crying out. The boxing community wants to see change. The boxing community is tired of this, preferential treatment. I reiterate, Timothy Bradley is talking about that preferential treatment. Timothy Bradley's talking about that. He's saying that it's preferential treatment. Sanctioning bodies are giving preferential treatment to certain fighters to benefit their pockets. Ain't that a trip, ladies and gentlemen? That's just a trip. That's just a trip, and this is big news. A lot of people are focusing on, and I did too. I made a video about it, and I had to speak my piece, speak my mind. But a lot of people are kind of like sweeping under the rug or just ignoring what Timothy Bradley said concerning this about the sanctioning bodies. And wow, what do you guys think, ladies and gentlemen? Comment below, subscribe. Thank you so much, Renee Box Young Man. Once again, I say this is a platform where we speak, discuss, analyze, and just talk about the sport of boxing. Subscribers, I really appreciate each and every one of you, man. Welcome, new listeners. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and share. Hit that like button. You know what it is, man. Renee Box Young. Peace out, family. Stay safe.